You know what I did figure out is that if
there it
I
is. Okay. We are live. And I
oh,
think I can still hear
there we
everybody.
excellent. Excellent. So we rolled Destiny and we rolled pretty well. As you can see, we got
Oh,
5 light side
it's
points
a very
and 1 dark side point.
very large pool today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Couple of doubles there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to bring us back into the moment, an Imperial Stormtrooper sergeant wearing the orange leather epaulette designator is inspecting the train, which was labeled as having some sort of malfunction by 1v4N. I think that 1v4N logged in some of the technical malfunction, and so before sending off the tram down in the station, they did a once over on it, and there was a few things amiss, and eventually they found the bodies of the stormtroopers which were aboard that had been stashed in the engine compartment.
Oh, that's probably what was jamming things up. Oh. Go on.
And at that moment, something which a klaxon sounded throughout the chateau, which put it into a lockdown. And so that's the sound that you're hearing just as you are arriving. And I think you've exchanged glances with Maxbill at the far end of the hangar bay, which has this vast glossy floors, and there's an entire short wing of TIE fighters, I believe 36 of them, which are up in racks against one wall. 2 of them have just dismounted their cradles with pilots, and climbing up a ladder to the control room inside of the docking bay here is their instructor, who's wearing kind of an Imperial officer's uniform. So other than that, though, aside from a few spare droids doing maintenance, the hangar bay is deserted. You can see the silhouettes of several figures in the control room, which overlooks the hangar bay. And as the klaxon sounds over your shoulder, you can see that there's perhaps 3 separate parties of 3 or 4 folks, either in NCO uniforms, like the Gunnery Corps uniform that Davian and Maxbill are in right now, or are in Stormtrooper armor. And you can see that several of the pilots that had just been discharged from the simulator were talking over, and we're kind of not in any particular destination, and we're talking about some maneuvers from their exercise, and they're perhaps the closest individuals, and they're like maybe 10 paces down that northward passageway. So yeah, that describes most of it. I think maybe we will go with the idea that the shepherds are some sort of simian species, since that impression was gathered for so long that it's sort of true.
Yes.
So 2 TIE fighters left. The instructor is on the ground, right?
The instructor is climbing a ladder up to the control room. Okay. There's probably a turbo lift access to the control room of the docking bay, but he crossed the docking bay on foot to climb that ladder.
And you said there was two extra pilots practicing maneuvers, right?
There's a group of 4 pilots,
four,
which are in the corridor behind you. as the alarm klaxon starts to sound, and there's a red light that starts blinking, and all the blast doors start to close, and people decide which side they want to be on. This includes the blast door in front of you into the docking bay. Yes.
So I whisper to them, move, step lively, and we go through the.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah.
Who's shouldering the Simeon again?
The two of you.
I think the two of you have him in a Weekend at Bernie's type carry.
Okay.
I love that that's a reference.
It's
Yeah,
quick
well,
in the pace.
I'm just gonna start walking in front of everybody. You know, I'm really just all
leading the
ready
way.
to
Yeah.
ready to get to that shuttle. You know.
Okay, so the servos in 1v4N's legs race across.
Trying to look very official and nonchalant while looking like I'm just doing important imperial business.
Okay, so the instructor.
Huh?
So the instructor is climbing up the ladder, and as he hears the klaxon sounds, he thinks to look down and sees at least you crossing and he begins and he does a fast descent of the ladder, and how do you respond to this kind of like, 'cause it's pretty obvious, like it's a very well lit space, and he makes note of at least 1v4N leading the way, and I think Max Bill can see this same thing transpire, and you can also, I should mention that the clamshell doors are beginning to hurry their way back shut again.
Oh no. So
It's closing.
So we should leave.
I'm ignoring
Yes.
him entirely. Just keep walking.
Hey, what's your designation? Stop right there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, stop.
Okay, so I'll speak up. I'll say, sorry, sir, prisoner transfer. We have to secure this prisoner.
So is your goal just to buy time, or to I imagine that you're all constantly in motion towards the shuttle towards the shuttlecraft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically to buy us time to see if we can get all the way to the shuttle.
Okay. So go ahead, and I think it's still deception.
Yep.
I'm given to throw an advantage die to him, given that the alert has been sounded, and a similar setback die to you, be unfamiliar with whatever the prisoner transfer procedure might officially be, like what documents he might actually need to see for that to be true.
Okay, so do I take his, what is it that goes against deception is discipline or will. So I'll just use his will or discipline as difficulty, right? It's difficulty dice.
This is correct.
So you invert the colors. What is my difficulty here?
It is going to be purple. Sorry. I think it's just going to be double purple.
Double purple. Okay.
Plus his
We're still in
advantage
his,
die.
Plus one advantage and one setback
Mhm.
because it
I'd like
goes-
to aid you in that, since I'm the one who's helping you carry him, and I'm still in
Sure.
my in what you're saying and trying to pull the prisoner.
Cool. Do you have deception? Or
Yeah, I got
what?
3 deception.
Oh, you're the man. I should have let you speak. So I can use your 3 deception and my 2 cunning. So 3 and 2. So it's there we go. 2 yellows and 1 green is the pool.
Yeah, there should be one. I'm sorry. Pardon me. So there ought to be one red. I'm getting my stat block online, and I am going to flip that last one to white as well.
So he has discipline, is what you're saying.
He
And
does.
it's 1. Okay, and so instead of 2 purples, it's now 2 reds. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, so in which case I will flip 1 back and continue to increase our odds. So, because the force needs to be with us right now. Here we go. Yes.
He reaches for his hand communicator,
Yeah.
and then he realizes that there's some likelihood that the docking bay might be evacuated. It might be depressurized, or who knows what it is, but something preoccupies his mind very suddenly, and he gives you an affirmative nod, and he says, "You better hurry." And he
Thank you,
rushes
sir.
off. He rushes off towards the training theaters.
So I pull my comm link with my free hand and I say, Maxwell, get the ship ready. We need to leave now, right now.
So you see them. You see them making the jog across the docking bay, Max Bill, from the tinted window canopy of the Lambda shuttle, and you also hear the mechanical turnover as the clamshell doors above the shuttle begin to reverse their action towards closing, and it is it's in your mind that the math is absolutely up in the air and probably negative by the look of things.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It looks like the door's going to close before they get to the ramp.
Gotcha. All right, so do I... I'll go back in the comm like, we need to find a way to open those doors again if we're going to get anywhere.
You're a mechanic. You figure it out.
Okay. So then what Max Bill will... So I can't remember. Are we on a space station or are we on an...
This is an asteroid base. This is a very small moon, which is just below the
breathable atmosphere outside those doors.
Negative.
Okay. Now that goes there. There goes that solution.
I've
I've got skullduggery.
Can you slice the computer opening mechanisms? With slicing meaning computing hacking.
Right. Hacking.
Yeah.
I can certainly give it a try. Let's
So,
see what,
in the space of the conversation, the space of time that the conversation has taken, everyone is piling into the back of the shuttlecraft, and you can hear their voice over the comlink, and now physically as they come in.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna try and use the terminal that I've got in front of me and try and hack those doors back open.
Okay. So there is an astromech diagnostic, like umbilical, that is connected outside, connected to the shuttle, and so you're able to tie into to some of the CIC and get some information. You don't have command access at the moment from where you're sitting, so you're able to see the disposition of things like everything that would light up for IFF one way or the other. So there are a whole bunch of turbo laser turrets, which stud the chateau complex. There are the 2 TIE fighters, which just departed. And you can also see that there's a combat air patrol squadron, which has just come over the horizon from the far hemisphere of the moon.
Oh dear. We have company.
Well, that's great. They're outside.
Well, and that's where we want to be,
Yes.
droid.
Well, unless you do something, we're not going to be out there.
So the ramp the ramp makes its vacuum seal shut at the back of the shuttlecraft. Any hope of shoving the shuttlecraft through the narrow opening is either about to be dashed or has already been so. But the ship is ready to take flight if that is what is to be done.
What are the weapons on this bad boy?
It has
Laser, or we got.
it has a number of armaments. So there is a dual blaster in the back. I believe there are 2 dual blasters kind of at the base of each wing, and then there's another smaller, lighter dual blaster which is worked by the pilot's yoke in addition.
Davian, do you think you can make a door?
If it's the standard shuttle, it's 2 forward light blaster cannons and twin light laser cannons forward, and a set of twin light blasters on the back. Is it the standard shuttle?
It is in every way stock.
Okay, cool.
Make a door.
Figure, I mean,
I don't know if that armor is too strong for blasters. Would I know that? Is there?
Yeah,
could
I mean, you incontrovertibly. I think that. I mean, it doesn't take a knowledge warfare check to know that a normal hangar bay door is proof against anything but a proton torpedo. Like normal starfighter munitions are not going to blow it open.
the rest, I mean, I've got skullduggery. I don't know if it could help you.
So looking around the shuttle bay, is there anything by the doors that maybe goes boom when ignited?
So there is a magazine for it, because this is a infantry unit of stormtroopers. There is a lot of ground support munitions, and you can see the red line. And the blast door is wholly closed into the magazine, where munitions would be mounted onto different craft. There's a skip ray blast boat, for example, which would mount missiles, for example, which is in between you and the magazine doorway. But you can see that big, wide red line for the magazine doorway.
I think we try some blunt force engineering here, gents.
Blunt force.
Okay, go for it. It's
That'll
Star
blow
Wars.
the entire bay.
Oh, the trauma.
Yeah. So I get. So is this terminal? Would we have to put somebody else at weapons, or can this all be taken from the pilot seat? Because it is a shuttle.
All 3 of the forward-facing weapons can be slaved to the pilot's controls. Yes.
Please tell me there's 2 seats for the pilot.
There is. Yes.
Good, because I'm sitting down in one because I'm not.
David, sit down.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to assist these guys. I want to coordinate this thing with my knowledge of, warfare, so that we can pinpoint the best way to detonate these things with the cannons, right?
I don't suppose anybody's given a thought to asking them to open the doors.
I guess we could.
Well, so I should mention that I imagine that perhaps the ship is beginning to hover and pivot towards this magazine doorway as these thoughts are being had. Okay, well, as you are preparing that action and it's the guns are beginning to come into alignment, the control room raises you and says, Shuttle 6-4, what's your call sign and flight plan? We are going into lockdown. Can you please Can you please hold while the base is swept?
6-4, negative, negative. We have immediate prisoner transport orders. Our call sign is
Priority. We need to evacuate the prisoner immediately.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Stay your position. Stay your position. Repeat. Shut down your engines, and we'll get this sorted out. Stand by, please.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Negative. We're having an engine malfunction. We request immediate access. Open to the doors. We're afraid we're going to have there could be a meltdown, and I just cut it off.
Well, when we were talking to the prisoner in the first place, the guy in that guard chamber, influence, an upper tier guy. I can't remember that last section. What his name was.
So there's a commandant of this part of the moon base, the chateau, who's just highly regarded by the stormtroopers. I think who has only been named as the colonel as yet. I think that is that.
But we haven't met him personally, right?
No, by reputation only. Is a highly regarded commander.
Don't fly then.
So a young waxed hair NCO in the control room above says, "They're not putting down. So what do I do, sir?" And he's looking over his shoulder and trying to get someone's attention up in the control room.
I'm revving the engines so they whine.
Yeah, and I direct Maxwell's fire to the point I think it'll be most helpful on. I want to make a fire discipline check to see if I can improve his chances of firing the cannons.
Okay.
Are you good at firing these cannons, Maxwell, or do I do it myself? I'm pretty good with them. Yeah.
What skill am I using to fire?
It is gunnery.
Gunnery.
Oh yeah, that's not.
I have yellow, green, green. What about you?
Yeah,
I got
green,
yellow,
green.
green. So I.
Okay. Oh, you should fire him.
Yeah, I should fire
Yeah,
him.
you should definitely fire him.
So
If I can, I'll assist by because I have to imagine the rear cannons also have some level of slave to the pilot.
Or you could sort of like tilt the ship, right? Start racing the ship and tilt it.
I can do that too.
Or holding it steady or something. I don't know.
So the magazine is shielded and has 2 setback dice worth of shielding.
Okay.
And it has a soak value.
But what's my difficulty though?
Oh, so you are looking for a particular location. I mean, there's. So it seems like, I mean, if you're looking for some sort of weak spot to try and disturb the magazine, it's like, is there a demolition skill or something to that effect?
That probably goes under mechanics or something. There's like a saboteur or something, but I haven't read. There's a saboteur class, I think.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna rulings over rules. So the knowledge warfare can get you some mileage here, and it can get some penetration to the roll. Like I think it's still worth rolling. Your difficulty, however, is it's got to be just 2. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Two purples.
Yep.
Okay.
That shouldn't work or anything.
So I will take 2 strain to perform 2 simultaneous aiming maneuvers.
Okay.
And before I fire, and I'm gonna spend destiny point to upgrade our check.
Okay, and I will say that as you line it up, the doubt fills your mind that there could be constructed in any number of ways, and who knows if you know, like, is it the red wire or the green wire? And so I will upgrade back. I think I hear Freund is working to chime in.
Just wanted to ask if I could aid in with perception, some environment or dangers that may be cuteness of where.
I think that, I mean, he can definitely find an advantage die from all the watchful eyes that are expectantly
The saucer eye.
anticipating what's about to happen.
All right. So here goes nothing. Yes.
A triumph. Holy
Yes.
mackerel. That's a good roll.
And
Money.
Yep. And I'm using the cannons, which, with... they got linked, so I can use those to advantage to do, like, double damage, and the triumph, maybe I can leverage it to...
so I mean, I think the triumph can put you into position.
Can't actually leave.
Of the ship perhaps being less harmed. That's yeah.
That was good too.
So the magazine goes up, and thankfully, this only means that that the initial cratering, because of the low gravity, you disturb the gravity plating underneath of the magazine, and so as you do so, the moon's normal rotation kind of takes over. And kind of the disturbance of inertia and so on. One of the proton torpedoes that's inside the magazine slides into the wall and goes off. And then there's this number of sympathetic explosions before a baffle kind of catches it, because there's some baffles inside of it. And so perhaps 10 or 20 proton torpedoes go off on the far side of the docking bay, and so the skip ray blast boat that was in between you and the magazine is swept aside and crashes into the side of your hull, and the shuttle takes, we're just gonna call it a collision and 15 points of damage.
Jeez, 15 points. Okay, so armor takes 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that we take 11 points of hull trauma. So we're down to 14.
Right.
You think that would open up the
15.
fire?
I'll scratch the paint a little bit.
But wait, we got to roll a collision, you said. So it's D100.
Just a minor, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Just a minor. Here we go. Oh, 25. 25 means I don't have my glasses on. Losing power to shields. Yeah.
So a scintillating shower of sparks and thousands of pieces of debris. Half of the wing of TIE fighters lies shattered against the wall. Their panels drooping in the showers of sparks and falling off individually in part and in whole. The windows of the control room shattered, and several of the unvac-suited individuals inside are now being sucked out and tumbling down in utter silence, and rolling down each of the TIE fighters' superstructures and down level upon level to the floor, come to a thudding halt. The clamshell door above remains steadfast, but in the sympathetic explosions and so on, you can see a little yawning a bit of the black void of space and a few stars as just as the explosion has come towards you. Now you can see that the vacuum of space is pulling all of the debris, all the finer little debris in a river towards this hole, which is just to the side of where the magazine explosion was.
So
But
is
it's
it
not
big
for us to
enough
fly
to
to?
drive through? In stereo.
Yeah. That's a big thing. We need
That's
to
nice, but can we get the hell out of here or not?
The survey says.
That is going to be difficult, regardless of the speed at which you take it. But I should mention that, like in all likelihood, there will be some armed response, so it cannot be taken at a total crawl. So there's lots of these proton torpedoes and missiles which are rolling around very near to the Gulf, which opens into space. So I am given to think that it is.
Davian says, it's now or never, 1V, punch it.
I'm punching it. So what's my difficulty?
I think it is.
Well,
It's just.
are those
What is the-
torpedoes,
okay.
like floating
Here's-
in the river?
There is every likelihood that yes, there are munitions which are sort of adrift in zero gravity that you will be flying past.
That's fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fun.
Light it up.
So I think that the difficulty is just equal to the scale of the vessel, which means that it is formidable.
So it's
Four
four.
purple, yeah.
Okay, great. 4 purple. 2, 3, 4. Let's see. My piloting space is yellow, 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 green. So,
Nice.
and
Wait, are we piloting space or piloting planetary? Because we're still on the
Space, baby.
asteroid.
Space.
Yeah, but we're still on the asteroid.
It is a matter
Hey,
of
listen,
what
so
vehicle
I'm-
one is piloting
yeah.
rather than where one
Okay.
is.
you want us to
Gotcha.
die? All right. Yeah. Then, and I'm gonna flip a point here because I really, really, really want us
Yes,
to get
please
out of here.
do.
Yeah.
Please
So I'm
do.
starting to roll 4 yellows versus 4 purples.
All right. Can I? I'm trying to think of how I can assist, and I can't think of.
Well,
Are you
in the
co-piloting?
co-pilot's chair,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of watching the sensor console and
There we go.
mark
So I
one
get a blue
eyeball.
die?
Yeah.
Gives me a boost die?
Yes.
All right. Woohoo! All right.
Are your cannons on this thing?
There are. Yes.
Don't shoot till we get out of here.
A number of them have
Bad
Travers.
safe fun.
But in case tides are following us,
Yeah, I'll say, fine. Man the rear cannon, please.
that's what I'll do.
Okay, did that go through or not?
Give us a
Let me
moment.
Refresh.
I'll just refresh it.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
refreshing.
refreshing it.
Oh, you know what?
No, it just says use
This is hilarious.
flight
I've been streaming the starting screen screen this entire time.
Nice.
So it didn't
That's
go
okay.
through. Didn't go through for whatever reason.
Yeah. No,
I
the roll
don't
didn't
see
go
the
through.
roll.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
see it either. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me do this again.
So we'll take your word for it.
No, I did. I don't have anything. All right, so.
Yes!
The
Yes!
success. The
Yes!
success. At the end of the day, it's a success. Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
And the
that's
success.
beautiful.
This success probably comes from that,
one.
from the boost die. Probably at the last
Yep.
second. Max Bill says,
Yeah.
"No, that way. Watch out for the thing. Watch out for the thing."
No, to the left.
Taking the Lambda shuttle out, twisting and turning past all the floating debris and the pieces of the shards of twisted, sheet metal,
Morn
And
is
the-
firing into that too.
and the missiles that are like kind of like
Missiles.
over,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
So we're just getting the shuttle through out there, and then finally bursting out.
Okay. So I imagine, at all of speed 1, you depart into open space. there you do have the advantage of being kind of inside of a crater and being quite far away. I mean, like the guns don't have any line of sight. You no traver, like you're completely. They can't see you from where you are.
Are there tractor beams on this thing?
On this shuttlecraft?
On the shuttle?
Negative.
Yeah. Oh,
To make it follow us in a wake.
Oh, no.
maybe?
Alrighty. I'm going to start piloting a course, trying to get away from any of the cannons. I don't want to hug the surface of this rock for very long. I want to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe try to pilot a course. Well, but the thing at the same point, I'm kind of nonchalant. Like we're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're supposed to be
we're just
going
another
through the bay door.
We're just another Lambda shuttle. Well, once we get past, just another
Get
Lambda
back
shuttle
into
flying.
Yeah. We didn't.
Shuttle.
Take...
Just another Lambda shuttle with no shields and like a big dent on one side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start. flying.
Okay.
So Davian says somebody plot an exit course out of here. I'll signal V3 to go out on the far horizon and meet us.
So I think that the thought is to get to a hyperspace point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I thought he was still somewhere.
Wait on the side or what?
Position.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to signal him so he can get out of there, because otherwise he stays behind, right?
Right, with our ship.
With our ship, man. Hey, easy come, easy go, but
Yeah, exactly. Which one? Which our ship?
Yeah.
That feels like a lot of responsibility. I don't know. I think I might have to sell this for something smaller that I can handle on my own.
Shut up and meet us at the coordinates. V3. I will
Marvin.
send you the information. Just
So, the Combat Air Patrol is in a high position, like where it's surveilling this entire hemisphere of the moon. And so you can see that there are 4 TIE interceptors, which are kind of at long range in a situation where, if you are to leave the surface of the moon directly, they will be able to get on top of you. And then somewhere out there are the two TIE fighters which left originally on the exercise, but are off sensors.
Oh dear.
what if we tell them that the base is under attack by rebel saboteurs and describe some other vehicle? We are an Imperial vehicle, of course. We're in disguise.
I like it.
We could
Something
just
more convincing than
rejoin
me.
that elevator of shuttles that are sending.
Well, such is the case. I 1v4N. I think you're pulling the stick up and kind of getting into open space.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the control room, which was just devastated, was also the air traffic control and the CIC for this hemisphere of the moon. And so it is that the Combat Air Patrol is left to raise you and ask, and so there's a little green light lighting up on your on the cockpit dash, hailing you, and there's a pilot which is making a signal with a physical signal to get you on the comms as the four of them come alongside and kind of try and get you to
This
heave
could be like
too.
Top Gun.
Hey, 1V, what do you think that green light means? That blinking.
They want to talk to somebody, but they shouldn't be to me, and definitely shouldn't be to you.
Freund, you want to handle this call? Tell them that the base is under attack, and the alarm was sounded, and there has been an explosion in in the hangar, and
Roy
the
says,
pro-
"Did you guys see that?" And then he's still in the back. All right, he takes his head things off forward because he got the eye view. You're telling him this, he readjusts himself, and then and takes the base is under attack.
We've been notified.
We got away ourselves.
What's going on down there?
seems to be rubber.
Oh goodness.
I keep losing Dell.
I'm
did you
losing him
get the
too.
whole message? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we get you for a little bit, and then
Yeah,
you
like
go.
we hear like half your
we lose
sentences.
audio.
Yeah.
Do we want to try and do the?
Go off.
Do we want to contract down to video, audio, and see if that works?
We can try.
Worth a shot. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
I tell them that when they ask what happened,
Oh no, he's breaking up again. I lose him.
No, I think
No,
that was just
I'm hearing it.
Stutter.
Yeah, that's just pauses. I think
Yeah,
it's working.
No, pause.
I tell them that we don't know what happened. We barely got out ourselves. Rebel attackers on the it's on our side of the hemisphere, right? And they came over from the other side. Am I correct? So they didn't see it go down.
Yeah. Copy. But what is
Yeah.
what is your flight plan? I'm just gonna check it against my manifest here.
I'm gonna flip through the console. Was the flight plan already plugged in?
Tell
Or
them
a
Coruscant.
flight
That always
plan.
works.
Well, I mean, it was laid over. So like it was laid over for maintenance.
Is there anything on the last flight plan?
Oh. Yeah, sure. So this shuttle went to Gorham to pick up prisoners, and then traveled by hyperspace back to the Watcher with prisoners.
Cool.
And it also has been being used as an officer shuttle from here to Gorham, because there's a detached company of stormtroopers of this legion over on Gorham.
Right on. I would say we revert. I'll look at Freund. I'd say maybe the reverse of this one, and kind of point to the console for the last flight plan.
Okay. Freund glances at it and rattles off the flight plan to the questioning him, and then he urges the TIE fighter pilot secure that area and check out the like he's wasting time dealing with us. He needs to get over there, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, now that you mention it, it sounds like you may have a sensitive cargo aboard. I would not want a chain of command to be disrupted. Let's yeah, okay. TK-165 and 164, you go ahead and escort them on their way to Gorham, and we'll hold down the fort here. Does that sound all right to you?
It's acceptable. Thank you.
Love it.
Okay, I'm madly now starting to try to astrogate
So
plot a course elsewhere.
So he begins to discuss his conversation with you, Freund, with his wingmates, over a closed channel, and his credulity is tested once he starts talking to the other guys. So with that in mind, there is a moment where it is it's just average. His willpower is average, but given the state of alert, there is another setback die on there.
Okay, yeah, and Freund was agitated and excitable whenever he was speaking to him. So, and of the
Was that 2 purple, 1 black?
Yes.
what am I using? Deception here.
Yeah, deception.
All right, it's 3 and 3.
So that's 3 yellows, right?
It
3
is.
yellows.
Yeah.
3 yellows versus 2 purple, 1 black. Wrong.
Okay, as long as I see it, let's roll.
Yes.
Oh man,
Arr.
Triumph for this round.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, there's actually no success.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
There's no
no.
success.
Oh, that is.
but there's a
true.
star inside the triumph.
Yeah, but yeah, but it's still got.
no, but
yeah.
it's canceled.
Yeah, but it would
So
have
that
marked it
fails.
as a
3
success.
failures, 3
Yeah.
successes. That is. Okay, so that's weird because you don't succeed in that, but we get something really good in return. I have no idea what it is, but we get something really good out of this deal.
I run out of gas. Process that information.
Well, I mean, so I will say that 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 they're not going to leave you be, and as a matter of fact, like they wanted you to heave to and touch down at the complex on the far side, and you did not dissuade them of that.
How about for the Triumph? We they're so involved in talking with him that they don't notice the communications I'm having broadcasting elsewhere to V35T as I'm sending him the that I'm setting up for us to jump to.
That's
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's there's I mean, because there is a long conversation after after Freund closes the channel, and it is in that conversation that they decide not to listen. So yeah, I think that works well.
Goody. And maybe I'll roll maybe I'll try to do an astrogation roll to like at least try to be somewhat successful getting us. You want to go?
Okay.
Somewhere that's not here.
So now, are you going to, go where they're trying to lead you?
No, I want to jump to maybe where our rebel fleet contacts are. Here,
Okay.
send a prisoner.
So you're making a break. You're making a break for it.
Jump to hyperspace.
Oh dear.
Okay.
oh Lord.
Oh dear.
Well,
Well,
What could go wrong? What's the worst that can happen?
some people use the astrogation roll to tell the GM how many rounds it takes you to into hyperspace, right?
That's-
into the position.
well, here's the thing.
So-
I mean, so I think that's so. I have a plan for this because I've been thinking about this a lot because
Cool.
this has been a place where we've hung up. So the moon, scintilla, the sun. These are all bodies that you can't fly through. You're pretty close to the Watcher, and then there's all these ships that you do need to point on a vector to go to hyperspace, and they might see you starting to do so and actually pull the trigger as you do so. And of course, you wouldn't want to be in that vulnerable position.
Right.
No, of course not.
So these are the complicating factors, I think.
Okay.
And so it's normally in combat it is easy. The fact that you're really close to the moon, it makes it not only dangerous. It should have a setback die, but then it's also harder to come up with a place to point the ship towards, which then makes it average. And then on top of that, there's the very close TIE fighters, which might take advantage of, you kind of sliding into hyperspace very obviously. And I think
Right.
that's probably a natural upgrade. If I was to be inclined towards something, for a total of red, purple, black.
All right. And let me just check out one thing. Rats. Got the Talent Galaxy mapper. Just.
I believe that obviates. It may obviate
the black die.
the black
probably.
die. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. All right, good.
You know a place that you can point to. That's underneath of all
So
of these
purple,
different
red.
horizons. Yeah.
So purple, red. Okay. Then I will do that.
Okay. I think that the Empire.
Yes. Success with a couple threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
So as it turns out, the trip through hyperspace it takes a difficult amount of time as you end up having to double back because 1v4N picks a strange Huttese rendezvous point for exchanging cargoes. Some brown dwarf in between one star and another star. Or whatever you could find, and so it takes a long time, and in that time, you find out that Yant is in worse shape than he might otherwise be. But your shuttlecraft does find itself docked to the coral reef. I think maybe we should just go full gap and say that it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I like this.
Okay.
I'm good with that. And V3 has been able to fly around and bring the cool ship,
The far horizon.
the Far Horizon.
Yeah, why not? Yep, that's fine. Think about the consequences of an astrogation roll not going correctly, and we've seen some of those. I mean, I've experimented with different ways of interpreting that, and I think that it works on the show.
Right.
Or we could,
I'm losing. I lost Aloy there for a second.
I've got
am I
you.
here? Okay.
I'll be right back. Well,
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying that, we keep forgetting to use destiny points to make declarations, right? So we could point to declare that, V3 gets out of there. I don't know if that's within the scope of the rule.
I think that's definitely that's money well spent.
Yeah, so. And it tilts the thing in your favor anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean a little bit of the meta concern about how much the dice pool, the destiny pool is generated to achieve unfolding of the destiny of the saga of Star Wars within the amount of time that you have for the session. Not to get too meta, I think. Do you follow what I mean? It's like we rolled this destiny to get things done in this session.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think of a non-story gamey way of understanding it, and I think that that's the best I got, really. With that said, so Yant is hooked up to the medical droid and all of his gadgets, and attempting to kind of pull him back from the brink, because as it turns out, he was very much the worse for wear from the weeks of torture and so on, but had been just kind of holding himself together with the Force. So So you guys are walking past him in the sick bay, and Amara remarks to you, Davian. I don't know if we'll get this lucky again. I hear that they've dispatched some interdictor cruisers to the system. So our ability to get in and out is going to get progressively more and more contracted after your stunt. So we need to start thinking of a political solution. If you want to continue to fight for the Five Sisters, we have to find some way of securing the system altogether as a part of the alliance.
Yeah, it's the prisoner transfer system proved to be too big for us to handle by ourselves. Given the scope of the task, we chose to go for a high value target. It's the best we could do under the circumstances.
The interesting thing is that I think that the Inquisitors didn't know that the Moth had him. As in, it seems like the Moth has been running something of a slaving operation under the nose of the invasion. Yeah.
Nice.
And perhaps he was using this as a chip to keep that moving. So things are going to fall apart for him, which may leave us an opening. I think my understanding is that there are others like you, Davian, that either went underground or were out of system and have kind of heard tell what happened. And so there is a sizable contingent of folks that we could track down. But I don't know what best suits the crew that you're putting together. And you might want to talk to them about what they think they can achieve with us. But I can send you a few names and places where I think that, at least for example, the Rear Admiral of anti-piracy operations, I know was at a conference out of system, and hasn't been heard from. So if we can find him, we might be able to get the Five Sisters Star Destroyers on our side. The ones that are berthed and hiding. But there are other opportunities out there too. You should talk to your crew, I think.
Yes, we Vice Admiral of Anti-Piracy. And this is the guy who controls the system ships, right? Not the... these are the Star Destroyers of the Five Sisters, not answering to the...
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So there's a system defense navy of perhaps 3 to 5 Venator class Star Destroyers, or or maybe one Star Destroyer and 2 corvettes, something like that. But a sizable contingent nevertheless. And if you recall, Freund, in talking to the stormtroopers, had heard that the Star Destroyer was hiding somewhere in the depths of Scintilla. It had gone to ground somewhere in Scintilla's atmosphere.
We want to do that.
All right, so... Yeah, so I'll go talk to the guys who I suppose are back on the far horizon.
Well, I don't know. I mean, 1v4N might take the opportunity to take the company of so many eccentric droids on the ship of misfit toys. I don't know.
No, thank you. I'm going to be on the far horizon.
Well, then it's just V35T.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you engage the hyperspace drive to this this unlabeled point here. This is outside of safety parameters, and who knows? It could be an untold number of pirate craft in such a location as this. It's specifically against my factory settings. I'm so glad I wasn't there.
Do you have your factory settings accessible? Sometimes they can be. Sometimes they can be very bad. I should have Maxwell take a look at you.
I always have my factory settings accessible. I can be reset at any time.
Really? How do you do that?
It's right here. And he volunteers, opens up his his little astromech can of worms, and shows you. Oh, look right here.
Oh, like, and so I just sort of like right here, hit this, cross that wire like this. Am I making a computer's roll now?
No, I mean he makes it plain as day. I mean, because he has such a trust,
Right. Okay. Well, I'm pretty much erasing the 3 laws as we speak. Not to mix metaphors, but mix genres. I'm like, those are. Thou shalt not go on.
So yeah, I mean, you can absolutely just remove the factory ROM. I mean, he's already showed you where it is.
I'm just kind of taking a chip. That's a nice chip.
Oh well, I've never been without it. Can you put it somewhere safe if you're?
Oh, absolutely. And I go up, walk up to the drawer, some figures that the rest of the crew that don't really exist are. Just kind of put it in there with my little board game tokens and their statues and miniatures representing the rest of the crew of this imaginary crew of their ship.
In the little cardboard cutout.
The Crick or the 1V series.
So Davian, you find yourself back inside the familiar hum of the far horizon and its own kind of Huttese taste and lighting, and the bulkheads where the minibar was installed. They still have a slightly less stained, right where they took the drywall out. And you come upon V35T and 1V4N having this little conversation.
Good to have you here. Everything okay? I look when I see 1V with the chip as he puts it in the.
Oh no, things are great. We were just examining his programming.
Oh.
Behavioral protocols. Everything seems to be in order.
Oh, good. Have you seen the rest of the crew?
Oh, yeah.
I'll raise him on the comm link. Freund, Maxwell, are you at the far horizon or on board the coral reef?
Which one has a gambling table?
That would be the.
You may be able to find yourself some games of Sabic. But the company might be a little bit droid heavy aboard the coral reef, and in fact, some of the droids do like to play at games, and so there is a game going.
Cool. If they got credits.
They seem to have something like it, yeah. I mean, they seem to be much happier playing with Alliance credits and don't pay much heed to the difference. They're pretty naive. It's like digits. So there's some Imperial credits on the table and there's some Alliance credits and nobody's paying any attention to the exchange rate. And so it's
yeah. Well, Freud's keeping them busy and he's a little bit annoyed whenever he's been cut in on the comm.
So I'll say, I want you guys back at the far horizon. Let us meet at the lounge. We need to discuss how to proceed.
Fine.
Alright.
And he smacks it off and keeps dealing there until he empties them of, and then he stands up and walks off. Do I need to roll for that?
If Freud can't gamble, money away from
90 droids, yeah.
So I mean I'm given to think that we can probably do a simple like average roll to see if you're up or down. Is fine, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think I haven't gotten in deep into the questions of what sort of rolling Sabak involves. But let's just call it cool. Let's just call it an average cool roll. And
Yeah, it'll work.
I think there is some difficulty in reading droids. Like the poker face situation is a little bit hard. So there's like one setback die.
Slight poker face.
Okay. Set by die. All right. Advantage. I'll win it, but
You figured out.
all of it is counterfeit.
You figured out the algorithm that the droid uses when he plays. So maybe next time when you play against him,
Nice.
it'll be easier to take its money, right?
They can count cards like nobody's business.
Yeah, you were almost ready to break the algorithm, but then I called you and interrupted your nice.
Do my
Right.
concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had
Do
him
my
on a sequence.
concentration.
Yeah.
And you might technically not be down any money. But it's because you now have a fistful of alliance credits.
Maybe the droid reset the algorithm back to the first to the first step in the chain because of the call. So
Bro reaches the point where it's he stands up and he goes back to the far horizon.
So suffice it to say,
Still all the way out.
So Maxwell, you find yourself arriving face to face with these other guys, having been doing something.
Hopefully fixing the shields.
Which I will put you at liberty to say for yourself.
Well, that's this Imperial shuttle, which
it's
we don't really-
it's a shuttle, it's a ship.
It's a decoy shuttle that
it's a
would be
decoy
valuable.
That's probably what he was doing. Yeah, he was fixing the
Yeah,
shields.
and that's exactly what he was doing.
Nice.
And when he gets there, I'll say this: when he gets there, he asks, "What are you guys doing here?" Because while he was so into fixing the shuttle, he didn't hear anything. He's oblivious to what's going on. It's just pure coincidence that he's there.
Super focused. Yeah. So didn't you the comlink call? I waved the comlink. Never mind. You're here now. So, I think it's time for us to decide how to proceed next. Amara has proposed as one possible alternative to attempt to locate the system vice admiral who commands the System Defense Navy. If we manage to contact him and persuade him to join the cause, then that adds to our little rebel fleet here. But again, this is all a voluntary operation, so we need to figure out want to proceed and where our skills would perhaps be best put to task. So, if anyone has any other suggestions and better courses of action for our group, I'm all ears.
Well, I do like to blow things up, but Maxwell, I hate to say it, seems to be very good at that. But
To be good at repairing, you must be good at destroying.
he's a
Right?
philosophy major. Fantastic. But locating the admiral, didn't they
Well,
say he went into hiding?
there is a suspicion he might be hiding within the deep atmosphere in Scintilla. We know there are more shepherds down in Scintilla, or at least people seeking refuge. The atmosphere down there is dense enough to hide ships. So, right? This is what you said, right? The atmosphere of Scintilla. So it stands to reason that maybe they're hidden somewhere in the depths. The only problem is, given our recent activity in the system, it's likely that they've souped up security. So it should be a risky operation.
Well, I figure if we punch right into the atmosphere, we should be able to go where no sane person would follow us.
Can the shepherd lead us?
That's a good question. Although he was captured at some point, so
the monkey.
I mean, yeah, he's not the best at it.
Well, what I'm thinking is if he was captured and perhaps any other refugees with him would have moved location, right, to avoid discovery by the Empire, or so I should think.
Sure.
Still, these shepherds, like my son, they have some strange abilities. As I understand it, they are able to see things and discover hidden things that our regular senses cannot.
So Yant hobbles into the hatchway, leaning on a cane, having refused any prosthesis, or any kind of cast, and he hollers. He said, "I can lead you to where the ship lies in the depths. This I can do. But know this. I will also be leading whatever dark force is on that world straight into your they will be led by my presence, and we will find ourselves in their clutches once again. For if I can find something hidden, then I'm reaching through an ether that they can see me within. So you must make this choice for yourself. But know this, there is a dark force that is on the Five Sisters, which is seeking out people like myself and your son. And collecting them. It is only fortunate that I was taken prisoner by the moth and hidden on the moon. I think he was hiding me from this dark force, whatever it is, for his own gain."
Quinn stands up and drops his cards that he had been filtering through and says, "Come straight to us."
I knew you were thinking about what I could and couldn't do, and so I came to set you straight. There are things I can do, but they come with danger. And if you want to go fishing, you will end up setting the hook with bait.
they're going to follow us here or into depths that they can't go.
I think we are safe
Go.
here in the vastness of space. I mean, there's a million worlds. If they cannot find this young Skywalker that destroyed the Death Star, then I don't think they can find me either inside of these 4 ball HUDs. It's if I'm so obvious as to go into their clutches on Scintilla.
Well, if not by
right.
these mystical means, how else might we go about securing, obtaining the location of this vice admiral when even the Imperials aren't sure where he is?
You are the police inspector.
Yeah,
I am merely a wandering man of the wilds.
Yes. Well, that's, never had to find a ship in the bottom of Scintilla. But if they have a crew down there with a ship, they will run out of provisions at some point. So they will have to come to the settlements little by little, a few at a time, so as not to risk detection. But they will have to procure supplies. Eventually, they will run out. So perhaps I can make inquiries within one of the captured cities, see if there is if there's word of supplies being moved around on the black market. If the Vice Admiral's plan is to stay there for a prolonged period of time, he's going to have to set up some sort of support network. So that's something we might look into.
We're going to be spies again?
It's possible.
Let's use that term loosely, or a little more loose this time.
I'm good at being a spy.
Hiding in the depths, do you think we could contact him or either hack,
Well, I think what we need to do is make inquiries to see if he has contacted anybody on the cities. Once we have access to those people on the cities with whom he's been interacting, then we can try and work our way up to the Admiral, right? It's not going to be a matter of just sending a signal and him answering. It'll take some doing, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think perhaps, given the time, do we want to step out of
Sure.
Step out of the flow of time. Okay, so I think the question is, so do you want to, there's 2 locations that we've already visited, that we've already built sets for on Scintilla. There's Knott's Landing and there's Lato City. Where do we want to lie in wait and start asking questions among those 2?
One of them was the place that we just blew stuff up and ran away from our lives from, right?
It was the moon.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I'm talking about
the settlement where the bounty hunters go to.
Yeah, and the far horizon is known there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's Lato City, right?
And that's Lato City. Well, yes. It's a distant quarter of Lato City, yes. But yes.
Yeah. So we could make inquiries in Knott's Landing, and then depending on what we find there, then I guess we could move on to Lato City. We might take the shuttle is too Imperial. We could take the Buick back to
we could.
Knott's Landing because they've already seen the far horizon, right?
Right, and they've seen the bounty hunter versions of this. But if I get rid of this 3LY designation on me, back to being 1V.
Yeah,
Get rid of some Imperial stuff.
Yeah. and the Queequeg, we it's been there before, but there's no record of rebel activity associated to the Queequeg in Scintilla. All we've done is in the other, right?
So so you did make a break for it. There was an Imperial Army training platoon when you commandeered it, and they started shooting at you a bit.
But
what became of them?
We
Yeah.
changed the transponder. We changed the transponder on the far horizon. That's right. Yeah.
This is somewhat true. However, I should mention that it was. This is really going back in my mind. The droids zealously repainted the Queequeg. They gave it like a detail.
Nice.
They detailed it. And they kind of de-jalapied it.
Oh, cool.
Hey,
Nice.
1V,
Yeah.
maybe you should hang out with these guys more. They know how to take care of a ship.
That's your job. I just fly it.
Yes, but can we work on more flying around the things and not into them?
If I recall correctly, you blew the thing up that's had the thing smash against the shuttle.
We escaped.
So
We did.
I think the turning of the wheel has occurred once again when it comes to contribution rank and stuff. So with that, I think if you're thinking of what kind of cover you want to insert into and stuff, I mean, this seems like maybe this is an optimal moment to have a conversation about that. The list of choices is not necessarily limited to the Queequeg and or these other vessels. It is possible that the Alliance could trust you with a U-wing, for example.
Ooh.
Yeah, but of course the Queequeg has a reason to be there. It's a whaling ship. It's great. It's an ideal cover.
This is true.
Yeah.
I
The
like
Great
the
White.
Queequeg. The Queequeg.
Yeah, of course you do. You were trying to steal it before.
So this is an opportunity for everybody to change cover, especially Freund. How would you like to appear going into this kind of hive of scum and villainy when they're starting to arrive?
Freund had reverted back to
the bearded gambler.
and he was totally unaware that he had slipped up
Oh, okay.
in front of them. So that was the whole, because he was inebriated at the time. With all this conversation going on, I want to ask and he's been overhearing us discuss this, I suppose. He has any suggestions about where we should? He may know of contacts. It is his home planet, right?
Well, I mean, there's definitely some of your folk. Settlement like Knott's Landing does play host to some of your folk. And
Contacts or spies or
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a matter of knowledge. Underworld, I think, is the name of the
there
skill.
you go.
And that's what these skills are here for. Yeah.
So I just got a yellow and a green on that.
I am gonna have to call it quits.
Yeah, no, it is time. I think more or less. Let's roll that. Let's roll for the contact, and then we can set up the cantina scene.
Yeah, let us see if he has a contact. Wow.
I think he does.
Yeah, I got a contact already. Yeah, just like the time I had a contact, which is pretty. Yeah, that's all right.
At least give us a name and a focus out when we get down there.
Okay. Boy, this is interesting. Like, how should I assess difficulty for this? I'm gonna.
You could just nod.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we still win.
You know.
I no. Well, I did some reasoning in my mind,
Okay.
which I'm trying to curtail some of that, the reasons why the dice are appearing, and let them speak for themselves.
I think it should be a boffin with a patch over.
So there's a portly, interesting thought. So there's a portly mechanic. It's the same one that 1v4N tried to hire in Knots Landing to take a look at the shuttlecraft such a long time ago, and you happen to know him as oh yeah.
That's fine. You can think about it. We have a contact, and we can start there.
Yeah,
next
I mean,
session.
you
don't have to you're not feeling it. Don't no need to rush.
yeah. Well, I think I am going to use the synchronicity of Star Wars and scrape back through my databanks of NPCs that have appeared before.
Sure.
And I think that this is an opportunity to have an NPC reappear.
Yeah.
And I just need to be thoughtful about what it is. Del, I will send you some written stuff about the guy though, so that
Cool.
you're not blind to it, because you know a guy. So what's being packed into the into the far horizon, and then that's that. Sorry, into the Queequeg.
Quick. Yeah. I think our best bet is probably to try and pass off as whalers ourselves. As for what do we want to bring with us? Let me think about that, because we probably
A bunch of
need.
parts.
Yeah, no, but I mean, in terms of equipment, or in terms of, we need to offer something to this vice admiral to get him on our side, and to get him to take us seriously. We need to offer him something, right? Let's yeah. We should probably
Those
think
Imperial
about
credits.
Excuse me.
Well, I think we'll call it there. Lessons learned about Discord, and I think next time maybe I will try and set it up to try Skype, given that we're still having this is still giving us trouble, and we got to figure out what does work. Given
as long as you're not giving them something, you're having kind of tape, and it says, yes, I offer you these, a gift of our friendship, these two droids.